Let's now talk about including negative numbers. Now we don't need to talk about these specifically because we used variables in the previous videos that could perhaps be negative. However, I want to explain that if we know that multiplying fractions works where the numerators and denominators are positive, we can also know it works for every case including negative. Now, one way of going about this is looking at every single combination. However, I want to reason this through in one slide in hopes of providing better understanding and also to be quicker. The rules for multiplying positive and negative numbers and the rules for dividing positive and negative numbers are the same. I explained why this is the case in a previous set of videos called Multiplying and Dividing Positive and Negative Numbers, and hopefully the link to that previous set of videos is in the description of this video. So ending up with a negative number or a positive number would be the same regardless of the order you multiply or divide. So A over B times C over D is equal to AC over BD even when A, B, C, and or D are negative. A over B, that is A divided by B. C over D, that is C divided by D. And then we multiply those two together in the left-hand side. AC, that is A times C. BD, that is B times D. And then we divide them together on the right-hand side. Likewise, we don't have to talk about when the numerator is equal to 0 because we already used variables to explain the why behind for multiplying fractions, and the numerators of those variables could be 0, but let's go ahead and explain why for this specific case this idea of multiplying fractions works. 0/8 times 5/7. Is that equal to 0 times 5 over 8 times 7? Do I multiply both the numerators and denominators? Well, 0/8, that is 0, and 0 times 5, that is 0. Now 0 times anything is equal to 0, and 0 divided by anything but 0 is equal to 0, and so we have 0 is equal to 0, which is true, and so 0/8 times 5/7 is indeed equal to 0 times 5 over 8 times 7, and so I do multiply both the numerators and denominators. Likewise, 3/8 times 0/7, is that equal to 3 times 0 over 8 times 7? Do I multiply both the numerators and denominators? 0/7, that is 0. 3 times 0, that is 0. 3/8 times 0 is equal to 0, and 0/56 is equal to 0. And so we have 0 is equal to 0, which is true, and therefore 3/8 times 0/7 is indeed equal to 3 times 0 over 8 times 7. Will this idea of multiplying fractions hold true when one or both the denominators are 0? Well, it cannot divide by 0. I explained why this is the case in a previous set of videos called Some Properties of 0, and hopefully the link to that previous set of videos is in the description of this video. Anyway, because you cannot divide by 0, you can't have a fraction with a denominator of 0 in the first place. And therefore, you can't multiply fractions where at least one of them has a denominator of 0. Thank you for making it this far. I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you for watching this video about including negative and or 0. Here's a link to the playlist in which this video and the previous video about in general are a part of. Feel free to click on this link.